Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're doing some more Warhammer. Honestly, I'm thinking about just rebranding this channel to a Warhammer channel, if I'm going to be completely honest. It's just so fun talking. But we're going to be doing a bit of Age of Sigmar. I adore Age of Sigmar. I focused on 40k first, and no matter what my friend says, I think Age of Sigmar is not yet an equal, but it is going to come an equal soon. I love the fantasy setting. I love spearheads. I haven't played a game yet, but love all the rules they have for fast, quick play. Love all the distinction between each factions. I love everything, and the models are gorgeous. But going into this, we're going to start off with the website order. What website order Grand Alliances. Excuse me. There are four Grand Alliances: Order, Death, Chaos, and Destruction, and we're gonna go in that order. Um, so yeah, we're gonna go started with Cities of Sigmar. Cities of Sigmar is kind of like your guard. They have shooting, they have melee, they have big few centerpieces like Talia Vedra. I probably mispronounced that last name, but they're very similar to guard. I like their aesthetic more. Okay, I'm gonna be completely honest. And I'm not too educated on cities just because I love their aesthetic, but they're not my favorite at the same time. It's odd. Um, but they also did just get the new City of Ash Spearhead set today, which is half of the new city's models. I think there's a couple new characters. There's that. Goodness gracious, excuse me. There's the new knights, and then there's also the other half of Skaven, which we'll get to eventually. I know a lot of people love Skaven. Um, but they're normal humans. There's the Dwarven and the Dark Elves too, but those are kind of at risk of being just cut out. So I would recommend waiting if you want to get into the Dwarven part of the Dark Elves part, because Cities does use a lot of models from Old World. So it's kind of a mix on how they're going to be in the future. But other than that, they're actually a pretty cool army if you like just your normal little guys. Not little guys, but your normal, like, people. Alright, next up, Daughters of Cain. The best way I could describe them is murderous, half-naked elf ladies who can sometimes be snakes, sometimes be bats. I think that's about it, actually. Um, but they aren't my favorite. They have pretty good lore with Marathi Kane, and Marathi Kane is a gorgeous model. All of the new um, stuff that they got is also really good. The Blood Hags, Malusi Scale, and the Shrine of Dark Tribune, that's really good. Um, but they really aren't my favorite. They're the glass cannon of Age of Sigmar, one of them at least, but I feel like you could probably most where they will hit hard and they will move really fast, but they can't take much. Um, since they're not my favorite, I don't have much more to say on them. So we are going to go ahead and move on to what is next. Fire Slayers, another half-naked army. This time it's men. It's men with orange hair. It's Sheeran. Um, these are dwarves. They live in the realm of Akshi. I only know this lore because I am doing a Auric faction that's painted to take place in the realm of Akshi. But I feel like they have really good potential. And you see that with the Magma Dross and that one War Cry, but they look too similar. And I feel like they could use a little bit more flair to them. They could use a little bit more fire. They're the Fire Slayers. But you could see with a good amount of their new models that they have the potential to be really good. It's just that it hasn't really been happening yet. But they are pretty cool. I love the Magmadroths. The Magmadroths are gorgeous. Um, but other than that, they're just berserker dwarves that aren't live in the realm of fire. So next up we have the Ideneth Deepkin, if the page will load. Hello, John. Please don't start this army for your first army. I'm not going to. These people are probably the second hardest faction to paint in all of Warhammer, from what I've heard. We'll get to first later. The sea monster creatures I love. The Leviathan is gorgeous. The dude riding the shark is gorgeous. The Achelion King is gorgeous. I love the aspect of the sea and storm models. Of course, you have the guy with the octopus. But kind of just their basic infantry. You'll start to learn I'm usually not too big a fan of normal elves. Um, so I'm not too big a fan of like their basic normal looking elves, but I love the sea creatures parts, and I love all of the kind of complex water themed, deep sea themed parts, and they have pretty good lore too. I believe that most of them, if not all of them, are born without souls, which is kind of they were accused of being like corrupted, I guess would be the best word, by the elven god. Um, so I think that's their main focus on lore, but I mean, if you like sea creatures, this is your army for you. If you love Avatar Way of the Water, this is your army for you. Alright, next up, we have the capitalists themselves, the Kharadron Overlords. I actually like these guys. They completely break Age of Sigmar's playstyle, because Age of Sigmar is usually very melee focused. These guys are like all shooting, but they kind of make up for that. They're not the strong, like most durable, I believe, but those ships are such good models. The Arcanaut Ironclad is my main highlight of their army. Um, I think that used to be in a spearhead too, which is crazy. It's such a good like model. I love their aesthetic too. I like the kind of metallic aesthetic that they have going on with the steampunk stuff. I know that they are capitalist, tax-heavy, tax-loving dwarves. We'll get to the other tax people later. But I'm actually pretty fond of these guys. And it's kind of weird because I wouldn't consider myself a dwarf fan, but 2 out of the 3 dwarf armies I like. I'd probably put it at 2.5, honestly. And we'll get to that third one later, as always. Alrighty, next up, what I would consider the single-handedly hardest thing to paint in all of Warhammer. The Lunleth Realm... Lumineth? Lumineth, yes. Lumineth Realm Lords. Bright. So I think they play kind of more... I'm gonna LARP on this one. I think they play more traditional to old Warhammer Fantasy Battle for the way that I kind of see them set up. Um, I know they're very complex to play, and the thing not related to playing that I really hate about the Lumineth Realm Lords is that most of their models are so cool, but goodness me, I'm not painting that white with the gold trim inside of it. I'm gonna die before I ever paint a single Lumineth Realm Lord to the box art. But other than that, I love the Spirits of the Mountains and the Stoneheart King. I love Teclis. Is it Teclis? I think so. Let me see real quick. I'm on the website right now. Yeah, Teclis. He's a really good model. Dang, 195? I didn't even know he was that expensive. Anyway, I love just the kind of aesthetic for being the realm of light. They're the high elves of the Age of Sigmar. And I'm not too big a fan of elves, but that's alright. But they have some really good models with them. Spirit of the Wind, Huracan, and Lord of Seventh Wind, Severeth is really good. Um, but I think they're alright. Actually, no, I think they're cool. I'm never painting them. Next up, one of the coolest armies in my opinion, Seraphon. You like dinosaurs? You like dinosaurs riding dinosaurs? You like dinosaurs riding dinosaurs with little, like, chameleon lizard thingies? And super fat frogs that are somehow one of the most powerful sorcerers of all time? And do you like all that with the Aztec theming. Yes, I do. These people I'm probably going to start whenever I do an order army. I have a destruction and chaos army for Age of Sigmar going on right now, but um, these are just such good models. I love dinosaurs. I love the Aztec theming. My main highlight is either the Saurus Old Blood on Carnosaur, in which you'd be surprised. I think that's a pretty decently old model, but you can't ever go wrong with Croxigor. Those things are so cool. I think they're surprisingly big on the tabletop. Kind of like the Morghast archive for when I first saw them. I think they might be slightly smaller though. But they are such good models. It's so detailed. There's so much stuff going on. The Engine of the Gods is an old model, but I'd still see myself picking it up. Lord Croak is a really complex model, and yet I'd still see myself picking it up just because they're that cool. Catch my drift? Honestly, there's so much I could say about them. They're pretty easy to paint from what I've heard. You just contrast and go. Um, but much to be said. You just have to like dinosaurs. And who doesn't? Alrighty, next up, the Sigmarines. I'm just kidding. They're not really that anymore. They used to be. The Stormcast Eternals. These are your closest things to Space Marines, but instead of being stuff that is super duper duper expensive, I mean they still are, but these guys are meant to be immortal. Thing about Stormcast is that they're meant to be immortal, but each time they die, oh my jaw, goodness, my bad. Each time they die, they lose a little bit of them, which can mainly be seen, I believe, in the Ruination Chamber. I'm not too experienced on that, but the Stormcast Eternals serve underneath the god Sigmar, Age of Sigmar. Yeah. There's a whole bunch of lore on that. Sigmar survived the end times in the old world. He came across this dragon I forgot the name of, who I think either led him to or helped him to create the new like realms, the mortal realms. But he basically got himself a pantheon. That pantheon got shattered pretty quickly, from what I believe. Um, and now he kind of is just around, from what I believe. I don't think he's doing much in this setting for the moment, except for exploring on his own Stormcast Eternals. But now, coming back to the Stormcast Eternals, in terms of models. Wonderful. Goodness. Sorry, guys. I have a little bit of sore throat today. The Storm Drake Guard, I adore. That is a good model. That is a really good model. I love the Annihilators too. Annihilators are really good. Bastion Carthalos, the absolute Chad himself. It sounds weird saying that. Some of their models are a bit old, and I think they are pretty at risk for being legends every now and then. I know that a good amount of them got cut off when third edition came around, I believe. Um, but all of their models are really good. The Celestit Prime Hammer of Sigmar model, that character, it's a really good model. I love that model. I absolutely love it. Star Drake and the Drake Sworn Templar, amazing. I love myself some good dragons. Any army that has a good dragon, I'll be in there. Tornus the Redeemed. He's a really good model, but he also has really good lore as well. He used to be a Chaos Lord of Nurgle. And then he got, like, I guess he got redeemed in death or by doing something, and then he died. And now is a Stormcast Eternal. Kind of, I believe. And then even your basic characters, I'm not really sure if this is basic. I don't play Stormcast Eternals, but the Lord Relictor, if I'm reading that right, he is a really good model as well. Chaplain Kit Bash. That's the first thing I could see when I'm looking at him, if you want a chaplain with like an ancient banner. But I love how much detail is put into every little model at Age of Sigmar. Whenever a Warhammer 40k designer asks for paid time off, they just bring them to the Age of Sigmar section and tell them to do what they think is cool. But Stormcast Eternals, mainly if you like Space Marines, you'll like these guys. Even though they are pretty different. And coming for the last of order, we have the Sylvaneth. These guys are, I'm not really sure if you would even call these elves. If they are elves, they're my favorite of the elves, but kind of like tree spirits. All of their new release with the Daughters of Cain are great. I love the Grove Guardian model. I might have to pick up the tree for something else. Maybe I'll make it all mutated for my Maggotkin. Spoilers. But their models are great. I love Tree Lords. I love whatever model I'm looking at is right now. Drika Hamadreth? I'm guessing that's a character or something. Alari the Everqueen. Alariel the Everqueen, my bad. That is a good model right there. Big old beetle with Alariel on there. She has really good lore that I haven't read. I know that she's kind of like, I guess she would be the god of like life? Plants? I don't know. This episode is filled with LARP. Alright. Let's go ahead and move on to death. I love everything in death. Such is the power of Nagash, that every model is good. Alright, Flesh Eater Courts. These guys are cannibals. They're Bretonia from the old world, with the surviving nobles and kind of their serfs and all that, falling to the delusions of Usheron, the Deceiver, who is a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous model. But they're ghouls, cannibalistic ghouls, who still see themselves as those nobles, but really are kind of bat-looking people, disgusting people. Um, so much that whenever a ghoul or some kind of flesh eater quartz ghoul, I guess you would call it, yeah, um, regains their sanity, they fall right back into that delusion because they cannot accept what's happening because of how far they've strayed from this stuff. Their playstyle's pretty fun too. This is one of the ones I've actually looked into. They're very character heavy. Um, but their models are also gorgeous if you don't look at the old ones. I mean, the old ones are fine, but the new ones are so good. Justice Gourmet is such a good model. I love his little intestine. Sharon, the Mortark of Delusion, but everybody does. You cannot look at that model and say, yeah, that's kind of mid. I prefer my Primaris Intercessors over that. Yeah, no, you can't even tell me that. Um, the Morbeg Knights and the Vargov Courtier. I love those. I love my big bats. But they are kind of in need of another refresh. Just for that second half. I mean, I think the Terrorgeist is fine, but that zombie dragon, he needs to be replaced. But other than that, they are really good. Really good lore. Read up on their lore. Read up on some Age of Sigmar lore and random. Alright, moving on to next is the Night Haunt, the Bedsheet Ghost, the Tibia Mariner from Elden Ring. Um, I tried to get into this army, and I love their aesthetic. I'm just not a big fan of painting flat surfaces, but what you're going to be doing a lot of with Night Haunt. They're a Horde elite army. They are the cheapest army in the entire game from what I believe. That might have changed. I watched a video like a month ago on it. Um, but they are a really expensive Horde army. Not they're a really cheap Horde army, I guess I should say, because of how much points their units are. All of them have fly. I believe all of them still have immunity to rend, which I'm not sure what rend does. Okay. But their models are gorgeous. Like I said, I just don't really like painting flat surfaces all that much. Alwarg the Dread, the Tibia Mariner from Elden Ring. You can run him on your army. You have stuff like the Dreadblade Hollows, which I actually... Hollows? No. Harrows, which I really like. I really like the Blade Geist Revenants, too. You're going to see a lot of things of... Goodness. A lot of things with 10 in this army. Um, but those guys are really good. The Murnmorn Banshees, I have no idea how those guys are still only $20. The Lord Vitriolic, I love. Lady Oleander, I love. And don't worry. I know you're thinking about the big guy if you're educated on Age of Sigmar. He's next. He's practically going to get his own segment for how much I glaze him. Alright, but really, for Night Haunt, if you like Ghost, you'll like them. If you like painting Ghost, you'll like them. If you like having 100 models on the board and not spending, you'll like them. That's really all I could say, because we're loosely describing stuff in this video. The OC Bone Reapers. How much I love you. I'm very tempted to start an army for you, but I gotta finish too, and the rest of my Death Guard. The OC Bone Reapers are the other capitalist. They want you to pay the bone tax, the bone tithe, because Nagash needs his bones. So if he can't get enough bones, though, that's fine. You have bones. They'll take your bones. They'll take your shins. These models are great. I love these guys aren't skeletons, by the way. They're kind of golems, to where they're like the infusion of constructions of different souls and bones. But they are wonderful models. Kind of a Middle Eastern aesthetic to them, but at the same time, they're almost like the Roman Empire if they were skeletons made of bones and souls. The Necropolis Stalkers, I feel like, is a great way to know if you like this army or not, along with a Mortek Guard. But it just shows you that all their models are, by the way, but it just shows that aesthetic the army is going for. And I love my little not little, my big Gothazar Harvester with Mr. Dick Guy in there. And Katakros Mortarka of the Necropolis, who had a couple extra bones stuck where there shouldn't be any. Nagash took the phrase boner seriously. And now we gotta speak about the big boy. The big boy Nagash. Sorcerer 9. Lord Croak is a Sorcerer 3. Nagash is a Sorcerer 9. He has an ability on the board where if you choose a hand that is not carrying the dice, you can use this once per game. The unit that you chose to be eradicated is just gone. It is out of there. No more. He is such a gorgeous model too, with his own little, like, big aspects of lore. I mean, he is the supreme lord of the undead, and he does not carry that lightly, because Nagash is a bitter skeleton. He wrote 9 Bibles about himself. Not just one Bible, 9. He is the selling point for all of death. If you like Nagash, you like death. Maybe except for Flesh Eater Courts. But he is such a good centerpiece. He is not 900. He's around 900 in-game points. I think he might be up. He might blah, 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 blah. He might be like 850. But he is just a good model, good character, good leader. No, he's not. He kind of sucks as a leader. Don't tell him I said that. They're going to take my shins. But other than that, that's the OC Bone Reapers. The undead Roman Empire kind of thing. Ooh, I forgot to mention the Morghast. The Morghast are really good. The Morghast Archive. Those are some great models. But I love myself some Bone Reapers. Nope, not Chaos. Death. And lastly, we got the Soul Blight Gravelords, which is probably my most split up of the Death armies. I adore the Death Rattle section. All of those models are gorgeous. And I love some of the vampire models. Radagar the Beast, the Vengorian Lord, the Blood Knights. I love myself some Dire Wolves, but those aren't really part of the vampire section. What are they? 2 people who are... Oh, I forgot. You cannot mention Soulblight Gravelords without mentioning Prince Fodrai, Lord of the Crimson Keep. I believe that model is the most gorgeous model GW has ever produced. Maybe not the most influential, but it is gorgeous. It's such a detailed and good model. You could look at it from any angle and it won't look bad. But it's such a good model. It's the selling point for both sides of the Soulblight Gravelords, honestly. But other than that, I'm not a big fan of the zombie part. I like Dire Wolves, nothing else in the zombie part. But I love the death rattle. There are some vampire models I don't like. I hate the vampire lord. I hate that model with all of my being. I hate Lady Anika. I think that model just looks gross. But I think they're pretty neat. I think all of but these guys, I think they're cool. I think they're nice. Alrighty. Moving on to Chaos. Hey Gage, we're going to Corn first. Blades of Corn are really good, but they do need a refresh on their demons. The Bloodletters are okay. They're like 20-year-old models. GW. Just put them out of their misery at this point and give us some new demons for Corn. Please. I hope that's what's happening in 11th edition. Or else. But the Blades of Corn are really nice models. I love the Wrathmongers. I really like those guys. Um, I'm not... Besides the Bloodthirster, which is a gorgeous model, and the Scar brand, which is also a gorgeous model, I'm not too sure if they actually have a big old centerpiece. Well, I guess they have their faction terrain. Okay, I'm corrected now that I'm looking at it. They have a couple centerpieces. But they are your melee army. Run in, smack the ever-loving hell out of the person in front of you. And then just keep smacking them. Corn does not care where the blood flows, as long as it keeps flowing. I believe that's how it says. Um, Most of their models are really good, especially on the mortal side. Skull Reapers I like. Deathbringer is a gorgeous model. Blood Warriors, even they are really good, and they're like your standard infantry. Slaughter Priest is really good. I think it's a tad bit of an older model. I'm not really sure on that, but he's still a good model. Um, Really, if you like World Eaters, you'll like Blades of Corn. There's no question about it. Gage. He gets Age of Sigmar. Alrighty. Moving on to Disciples of Tzeentch. I almost got into these guys. I'm glad I didn't. They have a really complex playstyle. They're a bunch of sorcerers. Um, I love their demons. Love them. But the painting is a really rough part on some of their models that aren't demons. Because, I mean, you paint pink horse pink, you do that stuff. But when it comes to... it actually does come to demons, now that I think of it. Like, Kairos Fate Weaver, the Lord of Change, whatever that guy is, the Change Caster. Those models are pretty difficult to paint with the blending. And don't even get me started on the Mortals and the Zengors and their trim. Oof, I don't even want to do that. I'm never going to do that. Thousand Suns, not... Oh my god, I'm 40k routed. Disciples of Tzeentch and the whole kind of Tzeentch um, aesthetic in general is really nice when you pull it off. But you gotta pull it off. That's really all I have to say about them. If you like sorcerers, you like a bunch of change, like a bunch of weird looking stuff. You like your pink horrors. Pink horrors are probably my selling point of the army. Pink horrors, blue horrors. But if you like all of that weirdness that Tzeentch has, you probably want to start Disciples of Tzeentch. Hedonites of Slaanesh are not my favorite. I don't really like them. There's only actually I don't like them. I don't like them. And I love Emperor's Children. I think they're cool. I'm a little bit angry at what they did to Ferris Manus. But I think Emperor's Children are cool in 40k. I'm just not a fan of the Demonettes. I like the Keeper of Secrets. I like those two little character models, the voice and talent of Slaanesh. But I just don't like the normal demons. I just think it's ugly. Now, Sigvald, he's a good model. Actually kind of like the mortal side of it. But when it comes to, like, other things, Salaxi Hellbane's a good model. I'll give you that. When it comes to just things like the Demonettes, the Chariots you have, the Fiends, I'm just not a fan at all. And I kind of hate to say this because I feel like they could be executed really well. But I'm not going to really talk about them anymore. I don't even know how they play. Alrighty. On to Hellsmith's Fashut, my favorite of the three Dwarven. And these are the newest army to Age of Sigmar. And they are gorgeous. They have a very rigid aesthetic to them. A forged aesthetic, I guess you could say. That the Hellsmiths get it. Um, but they have such a good model range, even though it's super small. The Dominator engine I adore. That is a good model. Uraktar, the first Demon Smith, such a good model. Not a big fan of Hobgrot Vandals. The Infernal Cohort, even that just kind of basic infantry. Those are good models. Those are really good models. Which surprises me because I think that Hellsmiths almost kind of show the future of Age of Sigmar to where this is the standard they're going to uphold. And if it is, then I'm glad. I'm really glad. On to my favorite Chaos Army. Not sure if it's my favorite army. Actually, it probably is, honestly. The Maggotkin of Nurgle. The big old gross farty guys. The gassy guys. Um, I love them. If you want to sell yourself on this army, look at the Great Unclean One. If you're still not sold, look at the Glotkin. If you're still not sold, look at Nurglings. The Nurglings should get you. They have gorgeous models if you love the gross part of things. Their new refresh too, and I'm not really gonna count Darkwater, but those Darkwater models are amazing. Um, but these models are just so intricate with detail, but so fun to paint. It's just so good. My highlight is the Great Unclean One and the Slaven Knights. I love myself the Slaven Knights. The Slaven Knights are amazing. Goodness gracious. I'm so sorry, guys. The Cankerborn, I love. Even the Plague Bears. I love myself the Plague Bears. They're cool little dudes. They're just so gross. It's cool. Like, also with the new Putrid Blight Kings, I own 10 of the old Putrid Blight Kings. I've only built 5 because I kind of use the other 5 for bits. It just shows that both sides of Nurgle, the old ones look almost barbaric, like nobles who have lost himself, but the new ones are almost like priests preaching the word of Nurgle, which I just love both of the aesthetics, honestly. And even with the Nurglings and the demons, I'm not. The only model I don't really like for Nurgle is Plague Drones. I can't even tell you why, because I like Pugskoil Blight Lords. But I just love everything. And the Glotkin, your main big old centerpiece that's not the Great Unclean One. How are you cheaper than the Great Unclean One? It's my question because you're taller than an Imperial Knight. But it's such a gorgeous and detailed model. I hate painting giant models. That was a good model to paint. I'm going to keep yapping if I don't move on to the next one. So we're going to move on to the Skaven. The rats. The cowardly rats. They are also getting the new stuff in the City of Ash Spearhead box. Um, Skaven, I think is my most... No. Well, I'm confused. I love the abomination part of Skaven. Hell Pit Abomination, Rat Ogres. I love that stuff. I love the like overly mutated part of the some of the more Skaven models. Like with the big old who's the person? Vizek Scour, I'm looking at them right now. Prophet of the Horde Rat. I love that model. The Brood Terror, I love that model. But kind of just the basic rats, I'm not too big a fan of. Now hold on now. I know a lot of if anybody loves Skaven, they're very angry at me right now. I don't dislike the basic rats, but I feel like there's more that could be done. Like just the basic clan rats. I feel like there's a lot more that can be done, especially when you look at newer models. And plague monks, you can retire now. Okay? You don't need to be here anymore. And also, why is there 5 versions of the Vermin Lord? I mean, I'm not really complaining it's a good model, but goodness, do you need so many? I love the Death Master. That's one of the normal rats I love. But overall, I actually kind of enjoy the Skaven. But I feel like they could use more in a way, but not in every way. I'll give you a kind of Skaven answer. Slaves to Darkness is next, and these guys, I feel like, are almost like the Space Marines of Age of Sigmar, because Chaos Warriors are what inspired Space Marines, if you didn't know. 40k would not have existed if Chaos Warriors weren't as popular. And I love the aesthetic of Slaves to Darkness. It took me a while to warm up to the Dark Oath, but I've started enjoying them. I'm not really a fan of a couple of their characters, but I actually really like their cavalry, and I really like. Uh, I actually just forgot. I was looking at it a second ago and I forgot. But the Dark Oath I've warmed up to. But the normal Slaves to Darkness aesthetic with your Chaos Warriors, your Varangard, if I'm pronouncing that correct, Varangar, I believe that's how it's pronounced. Love it. And you can't talk about slaves without Archon. Archon is a gorgeous model. There's so much going on, but I have a feeling that I would have. No, I wouldn't have fun. I would want to put myself out of my misery by like the 5th day. But I have a feeling that it's just such a good model. And I love all of the cavalry that's in Age of. Not Age of Sigmar. I do love Age of Sigmar cavalry. Um, but all the cavalry in Slaves to Darkness is wonderful. It's so good. I cannot stress enough. I would go practically only cavalry if I started a slaves army. And you can't really talk about slaves without Bellicor either. He's such a good model. He's in both 40k and Age of Sigmar. He fits better in Age of Sigmar. He is a gorgeous model. I love the Demon Prince as well. But Bellicor is what I adore about the Chaos section. With the just utterly demonic presence. Still looking just like it casts a fear to the eyes of the others in the mortal realms. Get what I'm coming at? Yeah, you do. Alrighty, last section. The armies of destruction. So we're going to start off with Gloomspite Gits. This is my most divided army. I'm not a fan of the spiders. I'm not a fan of whatever they're call themselves. The Snarlfang. Don't like the Snarlfang. And I don't really like the normal loons. But what I do love is the Squigs and the Trogs. I love the Troggoths. All of the Troggoth models, I believe, are great. Trug the Troggoth King. How are you only $106? Dang. That is a gorgeous model. Gorgeous. The normal just rock gut Troggoths. Those are wonderful. Wonderful models. When it comes to the squig part, I just find it funny. I find it funny and I find it cute. The squig bouncers, those are your cavalry of the army. And the mangler squigs, that's just a fun model. The squigs are fun. All of the squigs, you just have a good time. But that's really what I have to say on them. Hate some parts, love the other parts. The parts I love overshadow the parts I hate. Because I love what I hate. Oh yeah. The ogre mod tribes. You have potential. You need to be refreshed soon. Soon. But your newer models that you've gotten are gorgeous. Really good models. And while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and talk about Kragnos. He... Nagash is what Kragnos wishes he could be. That one thing that just completely alters your army when you put him on there. But actually, I'm not sure on that. Once again, I've never played a game of Age of Sigmar. But he feels like they tried to replicate Nagash with a different flavor. And it just was kind of weird combo. Because Nagash is actually viable on some lists, but I don't really think I ever see Kragnos. And he's a cool model too, but I feel like he he almost doesn't fit in with the rest of the aesthetic of destruction. He looks like he's trying too hard to be his own thing. But back to the ogres, I really like them. Really good. I love the Thunder Tusk stone hordes. I love that kind of nomadic. What do you call it? Nomadic? I think so. Aspect to them. But the normal ogres, they need to be reworked. They do. They're old models. They really are. But other than that, ogres are great. And they're really cheap. They used to have a spearhead that was half of your army. Alright, back to two armies in one. The Auroch war clans. You have one side that is Gork, one side that is Mork, and one side that is Legends. And you can't play an Age of Sigmar no more. But only cool people play Legends. Just saying. When it's presented as an opportunity, of course. I do Iron Jaws, but I still love Cruel Boys. Iron Jaws are your heavy armor orcs. You're most similar to 40k orcs, from what I believe, but they're still their own thing. They just have aura. They have that big old green wah aura. I love all of their models. All of the Iron Jaw models. I love. Even the Gore Gruntas. I love the big pigs. I love Maw Gruntas. I'm probably going to run 2 or 3 Maw Gruntas with my army. I love Ard Boys. They're such a good basic infantry because they're so complicated yet so simple. It's philosophical. Socrates would weep tears when he saw Ard Boys. The Mega Boss is Mega. I did not expect him to be on a damn dinner plate whenever I built him from the Spearhead. But my favorite model from all of the Iron Jaws is the Maw Crusher. Patch Kid. He is gorgeous. Both him and Gordrak. Gordrak has great lore. He wants to smack Sigmar in the nuts. Not the nuts, the face, but it's funnier when you think that he just wants to go nut tap Sigmar. Um, it's such a good and detailed model. Why can't other orcs have this? Side-eyeing. Um, but their aesthetic is so good, so pleasing. Makes me feel a deep pleasure inside of my soul. And then you got the other half, which I'm not as big as a fan of, but I still like. Um, you got the Cruel Boys. They're Mork. They're kind of skinny, kind of grimy looking orcs. They live in swamps. But I do like some of their models. Most of their models, actually. I love the Sludge Racker Beast. I love Swamp Boss Scum Direct. I think that's how you pronounce it. The Swamp Kala Shaman. That's a great model. Hate the Hobgrots. Despise the Hobgrots. Get them out of my sight. I will demolish you. Gobsprak, the Mouth of Mork, and the Corpse Ripper Vulture. Those are amazing models. And I love their artillery too. I love the Killabo. That is just a really good model. And normal Gut Rippers, they're alright. I like their shields. I might take a couple, honestly. But both of the Auroch War Clans, I adore. And for my Iron Jaws, I'll give a little bit of background. I am doing a army. I haven't really made lore for them yet, but it is a war clan with using Iron Jaws models that have somehow made it to the realm of Akshay. So imagine Iron Jaws, but black armor, magma weapons, Emberstone, and all of that goodies. For our final army, we have the Sons of Behemat, the Imperial Knights of Age of Sigmar. And I kind of like them. They have fun rules from what I've heard. But you had to choose the ugliest giants that you could have. It disappoints me. I love how you can run them in regiments, though. They'd make really good Nurgle models. But it's not that same grossness that Nurgle has. because they're just so ugly. They're so ugly. But I do kind of like them. I see the potential with them, and I think they're soon to get the other half of the Behemoth, or it's like I guess you'd call them the daughters of Behemoth, but it's like the female part. Um, but overall, I think they're all right. And that concludes my video. This is kind of a looser explanation. If you want to see a deep dive into a certain Age of Sigmar faction, put in the comments, please, I want to see blank, or I'll get so gassy. Okay? Well, I'm going to cut you off there. I need to go film some more footage because this recording is too long. Bye bye.